Well, howdy, friends and neighbors. Hope you guys are doing well. Just popping the chat out here so I can see what's going on. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Still holidays to go. I understand that. So those of you that celebrate others, hope you're having a good one too. For me, it's been an interesting time. Thought I would be able to get some film work done this last week, but had surprise guests. Wasn't expecting my brother to make it to my place, but he did. So we kind of put things aside. And I just wanted to get one of these Q&A in before we get to tomorrow night. I'll still do the post game after the Chiefs beat the Chargers. That's my prediction anyway. And we'll get back to the regular schedule here pretty quick, I think. Lot going on. Doesn't look like Mo Claiborne's going to play. Really intrigued by that. He had started the week practicing and limited at least, and then kind of trailed off there. Not sure what that is. So he's the one guy that I'm concerned about. Everybody else is pretty much good to go. I think Cam Irving had an illness is what it was. So you guys are joining. Nice to see you all. Thanks for everything you guys have been doing. It's been a great year around here. Before we get going any farther, and we'll get to the questions here right away. Finn, you have a very good point. I misspell everything. I'm terrible. Most of the time I dictate or I do voice texting or voice, typing of tweets or whatever, and they never work. It's just that I don't have the time to type everything out most of the time. So it's an adventure following me on Twitter because you never know what kind of creative spelling or word flips you're going to get. So thanks, Adam. I don't know that that's worth a couple bucks, but hey. That said, the Twitter experience is always fun. It's nice to see you guys. The podcast is doing great. We're going to have an announcement here probably on New Year's Eve about what an impressive year it's been. It's been incredible for us on the podcast. And I thank all you guys that are subscribers. If you're new and you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm one of the co-hosts of the Locked On Chiefs podcast. You can get that on any Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, that kind of thing. It's been a very, very big year there. So that's pretty cool. And I'm really looking forward to this Chargers game. A lot of things are going on about it. Before we start into the question marks, and Tim Reynolds, you did it perfect. Folks, if you are new and you do want to ask a question, please hit question marks a couple of times before your question. It helps me pick them out of the chat. I know some people get really upset when I miss their questions, and that's usually why, because there's just so many things going on. I can't really see them all. So that said, the thing that I'm really intrigued by is this could be not only Philip Rivers' last game in a Charger uniform, could be his last game. I know that all the pundits, including Daniel Jeremiah, are all saying he's going to play next year. He wants to play. That's great. He's got to have a team that wants him to, and I'm not sure that his performance has really made another team think of him as a transition quarterback. I don't know that he plays well with others or that he has the reputation for mentoring younger quarterbacks. So I find it very hard to think that some other team outside of the Chargers is ever going to picture him in that way as a guy that can lead their rookie or their future franchise QB in the right direction. I just don't think that's the reputation that he has. It's not the impression that I have either. So Scott Kreider, I apologize that I'm sorry that your wife has a complaint, not my department. That product is a sponsor of the show, not responsible for its actual performance or yours. But Jerry, thanks for your donation. I appreciate that, folks. If you want to donate, go ahead. Make sure you ask a question. I know these guys that have already given tonight, they always ask questions, so I'm getting that. But especially if you're new, if you leave something for a donation, make sure you ask a question so I can get you something for it right now tonight. That said, that's the main storyline that I'm looking for against these Chargers. Is what happens with Philip Rivers. I'll never cut him out because he's crafty and he is a competitor. What he lacks in the ability to cuss on the football field, he makes up for being opportunistic. So I'll take him for that. I'll start in with the questions because Tim started with one, so I want to make sure we get right into it. Probably not going to go a whole hour tonight. I know folks are busy and doing a lot of stuff, so just the 100 or so of us that I'm sure we'll just hang out a little bit. So let me get back to Tim's question. Tim, do you think that our defense can keep this up in the postseason, or do you think they will regress? I don't see any reason that they can't continue to get better unless there's injuries. If there's injuries, that changes things. If Frank Clark is unable to play, and I don't mean nagging injuries, I think Frank Clark, Chris Jones have shown they'll play through injuries. I think a lot of guys on this defense have shown that grit. So I'm not worried about that part. But if they're hurt to the point where they're not able to get on the field, if it's Clark, Jones, or Tyrann Mathieu, that's something that can really put a spur in this Chiefs defense's saddle. So that's a problem. But other than that, no, I feel like they're still on the upswing. I think they're finally getting to the point where they're approaching what we thought they could be, and honestly, what the staff thinks they can be for most of the season. So no, I don't feel like they're set to regress. And the great thing about it is the teams that they're most likely to see, the teams that are the hurdles that are getting all the attention now, the Chiefs has beaten them already. So that was when earlier in the season when they weren't playing as well as a defense. So it all bodes well for what their overall chances are, and I feel very strongly that they can pull off and continue to get better on defense while the offense gets back to what it's doing. I feel the whole team's on the rise, and I won't say that that's a coincidence. I think they're all working together, and I get a very positive vibe off of it all. Good question, though, and I do like where you're coming from. Mark Sawchuk, I did pick yours out because you talk about somebody that everybody's really interested in. Does Darwin Thompson have a chance to take the lead, to be the lead back next season? He does have a chance to do that. I don't think it's going to happen, but he definitely has a chance, and no matter what, he will have an expanded role. They like what they have in him, and I don't see any reason not to like what they have in him. I think I told you guys as training camp wrapped up that rookie season was going to be just a wait and see, that he wasn't going to have a huge impact because of the rookie status and because of, no offense, his size. Pass protection is still an issue. So there is that thing, but next season is really where he's going to make his mark. I don't know if they're being super cautious with LeSean or what is the impetus behind that, but I don't think LeSean's going to be the lead back next season. I think he might still come back. You never know, but I don't think he's going to be the lead. Mr. Smoke That Green. Okay. Can you please explain the AFC NFC playoff pictures? I haven't looked too deeply at the NFC. I can pull it up for you, though. Hold on a second. And the gist of it is, on the AFC side, the only thing that can happen right now is that if the Dolphins pull an upset, and I have to give them credit, they've been playing hard all season. They could have gone in the tank for whoever it was going to be. At the time, it was thought early in the season when they were still winless, they could have gone in the tank for Tua. Obviously, a lot of things have changed both with the Dolphins and with Tua, but they could have been in line to draft Burrow, number 1 overall, if that's what they wanted. But they're playing hard, and they got to win. And that's really what it came down to, that they were not quitting on this season in order to get their franchise QB of the future. And so I can't really rule them out that they couldn't put up a fight and come back and beat the Patriots. The Patriots offense is not working very well. And while the defense is good, you never know. On any given Sunday, the Dolphins could have enough offense to beat them. I don't see that happening. I would predict that the Patriots win fairly handily, but you never know. And if that does happen, if the Dolphins were to win and the Chiefs beat the Chargers like we expect, that would put them into a tie. The Chiefs would take over second place based on the tiebreaker. That's the scenario. It's a little cleaner cut over there in the NFC now that I pull it up. Niners and Packers are tied at 12-3. They're going to be the number 1 and number 2. I don't believe they played head-to-head, so I don't think that's going to change unless one of them loses this weekend. And then the next one, you have the 4th seed. No, the Saints are at 12-3. So there's a tiebreak there somewhere, I believe. I can't remember who that was against. If Packers and Niners lose, the Saints could jump up if they hold serve. So there are some options on that side. But I expect the Titans to pull through and be the team that is in the 6th spot, which means right now, if the Chiefs win and the Patriots win, everybody stays where they are. And the Chiefs will play the Titans in Arrowhead. And that's my expectation overall. I can't guarantee that, but that's what I see coming. So that said, Hopefully I didn't lose you guys. My screen kind of went black here, so I'm trying to keep up. So I'm just going to keep going. Looks like we haven't changed number of listeners yet, so I don't know if my screen's done or not. But Adam Daughtry, I know our defense is awesome, but did you see the big plays where we missed many tackles? Yeah, there's a few. I think Juan Thornhill's getting better, but he does miss from time to time. Sorensen's the same way. I mean, everybody is. I think on the whole, I don't think missed tackles are a problem for this defense, so I don't see it becoming something that limits what the team overall can do. You never know, especially if, sometimes they're contagious and they just catch on. And if that happens, then yeah, that's tough. So you never know. Jeff Porter, what AFC team are you most worried about in the playoffs? It is the Ravens, because while the Chiefs beat them, the Ravens have improved quite dramatically since they beat them. So have the Chiefs. So I'm not worried, but I would say that that's probably the most formidable foe that the Chiefs will have to deal with. Jerry, thanks for your donation again. Let's see. Wolverine. How big of a blow is the loss of Spencer Ware to the RB group? Not much. The return of Damian at the same time gives you the production right, actually increases the production right back. You do lose a little bit in pass protection, but not a dramatic amount with Damian instead of Spencer. So I won't say it has a big impact at all. TJ, how do you think the defense will play against the top 5 offenses? They've done pretty well to this point. I don't think that I think they're better against the run, and that takes care of a lot of what the Ravens want to do. Now, Tannehill in particular, the Titans have had their number in years lately. So what we have to make sure is that they stick to a better plan this time and that they're able to defend the run and they don't lose sight of going over the top. I think A.J. Brown's a nice young player. He was a guy that I thought might end up in Kansas City instead of Hardman. So they definitely have some skill there in the past game as well. And Tannehill's been playing lights out. So they got to watch out for that. I think that's important to keep an eye on what's going on. But I don't think that it's a huge drawback. Billy Carr, do you see the Chargers picking on Ward? He seems to be up and down. I agree with you. He is up and down. But I think his general trend through the season has been on the way up. I think Rivers is opportunistic. And I think if Rivers thinks he has a matchup, particularly like we saw last time, Mike Williams on Ward, I think is something that Rivers will go after. But I don't think it's like they're going to try to make Williams line up on him all night. So I don't think it will be a concerted effort to just attack Ward. But I do agree with you. He is a bit up and down. Consistency, I've said, is his number one problem. That will make him a true high-end 2, low-end number 1 is a stretch in my eyes still, but he can be a high-end number 2 corner in my opinion. KCK, do you think that we should just go with Matt Moore on Sunday if the Dolphins are winning at half, then put Mahomes in? I don't. I think the MVP wants to play. I think the MVP wants to continue to get his swag back. I think it started last week, and I think he wants to be out there and leave no impressions, leave no questions about what he and this offense are capable of. So that's what I expect to see. Justin Trevor, are you worried about how the Titans, any thoughts how it'll play out? I think the Titans will make it. I think they will play the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will be more prepared. I think Mike Pennell will start that game. And I do believe that the secondary has been playing well enough that despite Tannehill's great execution the last 6 weeks, I do believe they have enough, and the Chiefs will win that wild card game. Old fan, how are you, bud? Do you think that we get a first round bye? Right now, I'm leaning towards no. If not, what do you think the first round looks like? I think it's going to be the Titans. I think the Patriots are going to end up with the bye, and that would put the Texans and I can't remember who the other one's going to be. I just looked at it too. Bills, Texans, Bills. And I won't put it past the Bills to win that game either. While I think the Texans are a decent team, I don't think that they're insurmountable, and I like what the Bills are cooking. Cody Parker, are off-season targets the same as they would have been if the defense hadn't had this big upswing in their performance? In my opinion, yes. They still need a number 1 corner. They still need a true middle linebacker that can play sideline to sideline. I don't think that Hitch's performance is enough. So I do think that they have to improve that. I think they need a rush end. Suggs is only under contract for this postseason, then it's over. I don't know if he even wants to play in 2020. So you certainly can't rely on that. Alex Okafor's hurt. Ogba's hurt. Everybody else that you have out there is hurt. I think one of those guys comes back. I'm not sure who it is, but I do think that you have to get a young speed rusher like Damone Harris to play on that opposite side across from Frank as well. So for me, those three are the priorities, as well as a super early day 3 interior offensive lineman. I don't think you have to go. You could see it go in the 3rd round, but you don't have to. I think you can get a guy that will grow into a starting role in the 4th round. I don't think there's going to be guards that are going to be worthy of a 2nd round pick. So that's where I see it kind of falling. That was a good question. David states, do you think that Suggs gets more snaps Sunday and in the postseason? What do you think about his performance? I thought he showed you what he's capable of in limited snaps. I don't know that they're going to need him this week. I think he'll probably play around the same as my guess, 20-ish, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure. But I think come the postseason, I think that's when you'll see him more, unless they get up by multiple scores. If they're up 20 points, you don't need Suggs in there. If they're up 14, you probably don't need him in there. You're up 10, Suggs is playing. Cole Kaler, what do you think our backup quarterback is next season? I think it might be more. I think Moore proved what he can do and that he's not done yet. I think Henny's super expensive next season, and I think they like Kyle Shermer. So I kind of see it being more right now. Hog Farmer, I'm glad you made it. I'll try to relax. Oregon Chiefs fan, do you think that Andy and Spags might throw in some wrinkles tomorrow to give them a little more to think about? I hope so, because I want, especially Vrabel and his crew in Tennessee, if that's the matchup, I want them to have to do their homework. I want them to have to dig. And I think that's smart football. Andy didn't seem worried about it with the Patriots, so maybe it's not. Maybe that's not where he's choosing to go, and he wants to use the element of surprise more. That could be true as well. Carlos R., what percentage or odds that Casey will grab the 2 seed if the Patriots drop their final game in Miami? If the Patriots lose in Miami, or to Miami, the Chiefs get it. I expect the Chiefs to win against the Chargers. Jaldrick Smith, do you think that we will show some of our trick plays just to get teams to study? Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying too. I do think that makes sense. I just don't know if Andy will do it. I would. I don't know if Andy will. Let's see. Tactics, how are you? Testicular Tactics. Is Dave 2 the next Harbaugh? I want Harbaugh's aggression for this team. I don't think so. I think Dave wants to be, but I don't think he's that aggressive. I think he's a little more calculated. He gives his players room to be aggressive, but I think he in general, I don't know. That's a great question. I just don't know the answer. I'm not sure that he's that aggressive when it comes down to it, in terms of like fakes and that kind of thing. So I think he's more about consistent execution and making sure you do your job. Michael Cole, in my opinion, Mahomes is not throwing bombs because the defense is leaving offense in such awesome position. Why are talk shows so hard on him? Because they don't know anything. Because they're looking at box scores. They're looking at him not throwing 300 yards. And they're not paying attention to the field position of where those drives start. You have a very good point, Michael. And I do agree with you. James Franklin, can you do film on Terrell Suggs? I will after this game. I'll make sure to highlight him, Jamie. He didn't have a ton of snaps last week, and quite frankly, with the holiday and everything, I was just tied up. So yeah, I'll try to look at him this week. Brian Larson, which DB do you believe had the most surprising improvement this season? I expected Juan Thornhill to be this good, if not a touch better. I expected to have more interceptions by now, to tell you the truth. But showing his ranginess and showing his athleticism, he is doing exactly what I expected him to do. So the surprise for me would be Ward. Ward is on an upward trajectory and has been pretty consistently through the season, starting to get his head around. That's the big thing that he hasn't been doing. But it's a shallower but more steady incline, and I'm a little surprised that he's been able to keep it up. He has been inconsistent in his performance, but he is consistently getting a little bit better. So that's what I would say. William Schmidt, thanks for your donation. I appreciate it very much. If you guys can see, got some new lights back here. some tube lights in Chiefs colors. They go RGB. That's one of the things that when you guys make donations, that I spend stuff on equipment that hopefully makes things look better. So I'm going to continue to do that. William's question: do you think they'll keep Watkins after this year? It seems like a lot of money for injuries in a couple big games. I think you're exactly right. I think they're going to ask him to take a pay cut because I do feel that they like him and they would like to have him back. But you're right. The performance, the production isn't there because of the injuries. So with a pay reduction, I can see him coming back. If not, I expect them to go after somebody in free agency as well as the draft. So I won't be surprised if a guy like Woods from the Rams, or who's the other guy I was just talking about the other day, a number of guys that I think are going to be not find the market as stout for them as they're hoping. I think the Chiefs will be doing a little bargain hunting for a veteran and getting another rookie, another explosive player. There's a couple. One guy who's playing tonight from Oklahoma, a kid that I like in Lamb that I think would fit kind of the Sammy role really well. Lining up a lot of X, but still able to move to the other positions. I like Lamb. So keep an eye on him. He might be mid-second rounder from what I have him listed at, but I think Matt Miller's a lot higher on him and thinks he might go in the first round, so maybe I'm totally wrong and he won't be available. But I haven't gotten into the individual rankings yet. Matt Miller's one of the guys that I do lean on him. Dane Brugler. My rankings come after I've done some film, but I do take those guys who do all the film into a lot of account, and those are two guys that I do rely on their opinions for. Yeah. Annie Anderson, what are your thoughts on Mo playing in the playoffs? Will he be ready or able? I'm not sure. I thought he was going to be back this week. He's talking about Mo Claiborne, who started the week on practice, didn't finish the week, and is out for this game. I thought he would be back. So I don't know if it was a hiccup. It's a shoulder injury. He's not a very thick guy. He's a little on the slender side, so sometimes that's difficult. He's got good length arms. That also puts a lot of stress on the shoulder joint. So I could see him taking a little bit to get back. So, but I do think he'll make the playoffs. I think that's what he's here for. Playoff bonus checks are nice for these players. So I expect some motivation from Mo Claiborne. Let's see. Do you think